This is why you all came. Our featured guest for the program today I think you've all heard the phrase SkyBridge. This is something we've been talking about for months. In Mesa, we're very excited about it. It's tied to our previous guest, Brian, out at Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport. This is the big news, international news. It's really something on a national level. When people are talking about Mesa, Arizona right now, it's probably in reference to SkyBridge. So I'm excited for you to learn more about this program. And from SkyBridge, we're happy to welcome Jose Pablo Martinez. Jose, please come up. Good to have you here,
Thank you,
Jose. Okay, so the first thing we have to get over is tell us what I'm supposed to call you, because I've always called, you have a great nickname,
Yes.
and that's Pablo.
Pablo, exactly.
But should we call you Jose or Pablo or Mr. Martinez, or can I just call you Pablo? Like
You can call me Pablo.
Okay.
Yeah, officially Jose Pablo, but Pablo is great.
All right.
Means turkey, right?
Well, this is another, in Korean, the word, it's not a nice thing to call someone a Pablo, but
What does Pablo mean in Korean?
Pablo means a fool. So if you don't want people to call you
No,
Pablo,
not in
but
Korea.
It's an easy name to remember. So
Yes.
now that I think about it, I'm going to call you Jose.
Thank you. No mistakes there.
All right. Jose, tell us about, everybody has heard of SkyBridge, but I think there's still a lot of misunderstanding. The governor made a big announcement. There's 300 acres of property immediately adjacent to the runway at Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport that we went through a competitive process, and SkyBridge was the selected developer for that property. And tell us why we ought to be, here in the East Valley, really excited about SkyBridge.
So SkyBridge is a couple of things. One, first and foremost, it is a 360-acre development on the airport. It's aeronautical and industrial, so we have a lot of uses. We are even going to put a hotel down the road. But it's also a joint customs program with the United States and Mexico. So right now, it is an active customs base we have a customs agent from Mexico, from Nogales, Sonora there. He's been based there for about 2 months. We've been kicking this off. It's gone very well. We do not have scheduled service yet, but we do charter operations for some clients that want to get their stuff in and out of Mexico very quick. So the benefit of having both customs under the same roof means that the export and the import process goes on under the same roof with CBP and with Mexican customs. So that means whenever something goes out of our facility in Mesa, it lands in Mexico, wherever in Mexico, as domestic cargo. So no need to go through customs in Mexico. So it makes so it expedites the process that much more. It's something that does not exist anywhere else in the United States for air cargo. Mesa is the first pilot, the first program there. It's been working phenomenally for about 5 years on border towns for truck traffic. So now this is the next step going through air cargo. So it's been a while, as you know. We've been getting this done for about 2.5 years, getting both US and Mexican entities under the same agreements was not an easy feat. With the help of the Airport Authority and both countries, we got it done, but now we're trying to ramp it up and to do this more streamlined and open to all the public.
So let me just touch on a couple of the highlights of what you just said. This is actually a very big deal. There's only one airport in the country where there's a joint agreement between United States and Mexico on customs that says, and that has a Mexican customs official working there that's pre-clearing cargo, meaning that if this airplane full of stuff can fly to any of the 180 airports in Mexico like a domestic flight, there's no other bureaucratic rigmarole that has to be gone through. And the impact in terms of time of getting something from the United States into Mexico, I mean, you just skipped over days or weeks of waiting.
Exactly. I mean, bigger clients, let's say an Amazon, they streamline the process a lot. They can maybe, between getting something in a warehouse from here into Mexico, that can take, let's say, 2 or 3 days. But for smaller clients, not huge conglomerates, they can take a couple of weeks to do this. So this helps out a lot. And it also helps out in Mexico, as you know, we've had a lot of trouble with people stealing cargo trucks. So this is even an added benefit to that because it makes cargo more secure. And it is point to point from Mesa to any airport in Mexico, even if they do not have a customs agent on site. So that's the best part.
So we're obviously very excited in Mesa and on the U.S. side of the border with regard to this program, but I've been really impressed lately. High-ranking officials in Mexico are talking about this program and talking about Mesa a lot. Tell us a little bit about that.
A couple of weeks ago, there was an incoming administration in Mexico as of December 1st of last year, a new president in Mexico with a new cabinet. But the minister, the Secretary of Finance, actually tweeted a couple of weeks ago that Mesa was the only place that this program is piloted. So it's now international news. It's all over Mexico. It's all over the United States. The CBP Commissioner, Kevin McAleenan, who is maybe going to be the Department of Homeland Security top man, he also is one of the pioneers on this program. So it's both governments working together to build bridges and to build more commerce in both countries because, as you well know, Mexico and Arizona are top trade partners in itself. So this is just something that helps both countries a lot.
We've had some great visitors from the Mexican government come to Mesa to celebrate this program. I mean, the head of the Customs Department. I mean, I was at a lunch the other day with talking about Skybridge, and introduced around the table, there were 3 cabinet secretaries from the Mexican government that were eating lunch in Mesa, Arizona. And the thought dawned on me, I wonder who's running Mexico today, because everybody's at lunch in Mesa. It's been fun to see what a top level program this is on both sides of the government. So that's a really cool idea. We got this program that isn't anywhere else, but as you mentioned, it's also 360 acres of real estate.
Yes.
And it's going to take a little bit of time I think we need to set people's expectations. You don't develop 360 acres of real estate in 2 or 3 years.
Not at all.
So give us kind of the timeline of how this is going to unfold.
So the way that we've pulled this together, as you can see there, that's more or less our land use. It's a 15-year absorption program because it's a little bit less than 4 million square feet at full build-out. So that's a lot of real estate that we have to develop. So right now we are going through 2 different fronts. One is getting environmental clearance and environmental assessment from the FAA, because as we are on airport land, we need to get their approval to the whole master plan. So we expect to get that done in about 2 or 3 months. And so once we get that done, we're going to start putting in all the infrastructure you see there, which means the new taxi lane, which means roadways, underground infrastructure. And then there's another component that we have 2 lots on our leasehold that are already on improved land. So whoever has been to the airport, where the fire station and the ice building is, and right south to that, there are a couple of lots that are under our leasehold. We do not own the land. It is a long-term lease that we're going to start putting buildings up there in 2 to 3 months. So we kicked off the process this week to get some design build contracts with local great contractors here. So we're going to go through that process the next 2 to 3 weeks and get our first buildings up. So one is going to be a general industrial, and the other is going to be, as Brian said, there's a lot of demand for corporate hangars. So we're also going to do one of those buildings. So that's very exciting for us because that's the way that people actually know we're for real, that we are actually doing stuff in Mesa, because right now it's been in the news, it's been with the governor, but nothing has really happened on the real estate side. So this is something very exciting for us, for the city, for the airport. So we're very excited that this is going to happen in the near future.
Well, I know we've been getting a lot of great reports, and there's a lot to be done before a building can go up, particularly on an airport. I know there's still been a lot of environmental studies that the government requires you to go through, and I think we're at the end of a lot of that bureaucracy, and we're going to start seeing some actual development occurring there. So that's very exciting. Jose, tell us a little bit about you. You're a fascinating person. I know it seems like you wake up and work all day long in Mesa, Arizona, but you've kind of been splitting your time between Mesa and Mexico for the last several months, haven't you?
Yes, for the last actually year and a half now, between Mexico City and Mesa. Right now, my home is Mexico City, but more and more so, my home has become Arizona and Mesa specifically. So I love this. I had never actually been here other than for this project, but now it's just a great place to be. I love the relationship we've been able to build, the relationship with yourself, with Councilmember Luna. We just had a great time. We've had a blast. This is the first project we do in the United States, and I think it's going to be one of many, but we just love doing business here. And And I mean, the back and forth takes a toll on you because it's a lot of traveling you have to do, but you get used to it, and it's been great.
I've always been worried because I know you're engaged, and that's got to be. Tell us, are you getting married and bringing your bride back to Arizona, or how are you going to make that
we're
work?
talking through that. I'm getting married in August, at the end of August, so she is excited of the possibility of us to live here. So we've talked about it a lot. She loves the place. She's been here a couple of times, so she loves it. So yeah, let's see. We hope so.
Well, that's great. Well, we'd love to have you make Mesa your permanent home.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very exciting project. There's lots to look forward to. And again, our kids are going to be talking about Skybridge. This is a huge development that's going to take many, many years, but the net impact is going to be measured in the billions of dollars and in the thousands of jobs. So it'll be really fun to see this unroll over the next several years in our community. So for people that want to know more, give us, again, you mentioned hotels, you mentioned obviously some aviation-related businesses are going to be drawn to the airport, but it's not exclusively that. What, 10 years from now, when we go to Gateway Airport, what are we going to see that is Skybridge?
I think that people that have read about Skybridge think that this is a purely air cargo play. And it is, but it is not. I mean, because air cargo, they use up space, but they don't use a lot. So our end goal at the end of the day is that, let's say 10% of the development is used by air cargo companies, freight forwarders, let's say a UPS, a DHL, a FedEx. But the rest is people who manufacture planes, people who maintain planes for MRO facilities, for corporate hangars, for just general warehouse and distribution. So we do have let's say, of our 4 million square feet, about 30% is aeronautical. Let's say 50% is just general industrial, which there is a lot of demand for the Eastern Valley. And then we have an office component, we have a hotel component, smaller, but once we build critical mass here, it's gonna be a nice service to have. And then we have the ASU Research Park right around the corner, which is another 300-acre development. And we've been talking closely with ASU also because we do not want to compete against each other. We want to complement each other. So whatever ASU, I mean, the huge campus that they have right there, and that's also an added value for us. Whenever we talk about this project with the outside world, they always say, so where are we going to get my workforce, skilled workforce? We said, I mean, we have 3 community colleges right in front. We have ASU. That's about 10,000 students there. So it's just a great place to be now. So that's what we believe it's going to be in about 10 or 15 years is a lot of aviation-related businesses. I was actually in Atlanta yesterday at an MRO conference for the maintenance, repair, and overhaul, and all of these people need space, and they need space now. Because there is not a lot of places in the United States with this kind of infrastructure, the huge 10,000-foot runways. I mean, there's 3 with the highway connectivity, with the schools right there, then you have housing, then you have commercial development. So this is a model airport. I mean, there was a lot of people coming up to me and to Shay from the airport authority saying, I mean, we've studied your airport for the past year and a half, and it's great what you've done there. I mean, just the whole development, the 9 or 10 industrial buildings that are going up. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and we think that we can capitalize this.
That's great. And you know, one of the things I really like about Skybridge, you can go across the country and see a lot of public-private partnerships where the government and developers have come together to make something big happen. And typically, the risk and the initial investment of significant amounts of money to create the infrastructure that burden is on the government. And business comes in with whatever they bring. But in this situation, the people who are actually paying the tens of millions of dollars to take dirt and turn it into streets with curbs and gutters and all the infrastructure you need to create a city within a city, that's coming from Skybridge. So it really is unique in a lot of ways. I think a lot of other cities and towns that examine this are going to be very envious of the great investment that's coming to our community. And again, you've talked with really some world-class manufacturers. It's going to be fun to see a lot of the name brands that come and locate at the airport as a result of this development.
Yes, there's a lot of appetite to be here. Obviously, they're just waiting for the infrastructure to go down.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, all this infrastructure, streets, underground infrastructure, that's going to revert back to the city of Mesa as soon as we build it out. And the taxi lane, taxiway, as soon as we build it out, it's going to revert back to the airport authority. So this is infrastructure that the city of Mesa owns, that the city of Mesa is going to maintain, but we're going to foot the bill at the beginning. And this is just going to help out the city as a whole.
One of the other reasons I'm really excited about Skybridge is because I like avocados. And obviously there's a strong connection between Skybridge and avocados.
Yes, sir.
Now, your job is to fill airplanes with all kinds of really cool stuff and send it down to Mexico 24 hours a day without any customs issues.
Yes.
And so is the plan for then these airplanes to come back empty from Mexico?
Not at all.
No, oh, okay.
Empty planes.
What might be inside these
Empty
airplanes?
planes don't produce money, so as avocados.
Oh.
Right?
All right, yes.
So what we're looking at is obviously high-value goods are produced in the United States, and Mexican consumers want and need them. But on the way up, we're looking very closely at high-value agricultural products. Let's say berries, avocados. So what this helps out is instead of being on a hotshot truck 2 days to get into the United States, it can be a 2-hour plane ride. So avocados normally ripen on the vine. So normally when you buy avocados here, they're not the biggest ones. If you buy avocados in Mexico, we have these huge things right there. So that's the kind of product that we want to send over to Mesa and to Arizona is high quality agriculture, asparagus, berries, avocados, mangoes. So these, because we're not going to sell corn, right? So stuff that is a little bit more expensive, dense, and that's how we're working around with U.S. agricultural agencies, Mexican agricultural agencies. So this kind of pipeline is what we're working on. It's not an overnight thing that we can just get done because there's a lot of government approvals of things. And when you're sending agriculture to the United States, you guys are picky. So we need to...
Well, there is that, but again, one of the cabinet secretaries that was here for lunch a little while ago was the Secretary of Agriculture.
Yes.
So I mean, we're dealing with the right people in Mexico to make this happen.
So the right pieces are there. It's hurting a lot of cats because it's the owners of the planes, the owners of the freight forwarders, the government agencies, end users, distributors. So it's just getting everybody on the table and just working out those kinks.
I was fascinated to hear the other day someone explained to me the way that flowers come to the United States, and it's really through do you know this story better than I do?
I'll help you out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, apparently, a lot of the flowers that occupy our floral shops in the United States they come from warmer climates. They come from Central America and Mexico and South America, and nearly all of them find their way through. Miami. Is it Miami?
Miami. 90% of flowers that come to the United States fly into Miami.
Yeah, and so Mesa could be the Miami of avocados or flowers or what, but we need a hub to get all of this great perishable stuff from Central and South America and Mexico into the United States.
And we have a great relationship. There is a commodity market in Mexico called Central de Abastos. It's the biggest commodity market in Latin America. So about 500,000 people work there every single day. I don't know how many tons, So we have a good relationship with the administration there. So we're trying to set something up similar to that in Mesa at Skybridge. So we can just say, you know what, I need 2 tons of tomatoes. And so they're on a plane ride back here next day. So that kind of things that we can be the West Coast hub for flowers and perishables. Because right now, flowers fly into Miami, then it's a truck, a refrigerated truck, and then you have to drive, I don't know how many hours or days just to get here. So this is the right location because trying to do it out of California is just not cost competitive. But here we have the advantage of the business environment is just great. Taxes are not that high. The cost of living is not that high. So it's the right time in the right place, we believe, to get this done.
Well, absolutely. And as we talked about just a few minutes ago, the Gateway Airport is this amazing asset that the city has. 3 10,000-foot runways and a lot of developable ground around the airport is really a very unique situation that's going to pay dividends for Mesa for many generations to come. So, like I say, our children and grandchildren will just take for granted that Mesa, Arizona is the hub for international trade. And we're seeing the groundwork of that occur right now with what we're doing at Skybridge. One last question. I understand you played football at the University of Delaware, is that? Am I getting this right?
My father and my children.
Okay, you're okay. Well, great. You've really trimmed down since your college days. I appreciate that.
Can you see my size?
Okay. Well, thank you. And I'm glad we had the opportunity to educate people a little bit more about Skybridge. Hopefully, you can help us generate some excitement, and it'll be fun to see all the great things happen out there. I'll say thank you very much for being here. You bet. Thank you.